Hello, welcome to Stephanie's Sexy Selfie School. I'm going to be teaching you some photo editing techniques by way of sexy pictures of myself, and so hopefully you can go forth and take sexy pictures of yourself and make them look even sexier and even better and even more beautiful or handsome than ever. So there are a lot of great pieces of software, a lot of good apps for photo editing these days. And I'm on Android. A lot of these are also available for iOS, but you have to do a little bit of your own looking. Today we're going to use an app called Pixlr, and we're going to work with this photo that you can see up in the background right now. We're going to improve it, and we're going to also use an app called Aviary to do a little bit of interesting blurring. So let's get started. First I'm going to go into adjustments, and this is usually under something that's, image details adjustments in your editor. These are tools that you'll see in most editors, where you have things like exposure and brightness and saturation and so on. So a couple things we're going to adjust in here. The highlights, first of all. So there's a lot of, you can see on the face, there's just some very bright highlights. I'm standing in front of a very bright window. So I'm going to bump the highlights down just a little bit, and that'll reduce. What it's basically doing is adjusting the brightness, either based on just the brightest parts of the picture, or in the case of, for example, shadows, just the darkest parts of the picture. So that's just, if I adjust this, that's just bringing up like the dress and some of the background and stuff. We're not going to do that, so we're going to go back to 0. So you can see the highlights a little bit, just the face is kind of is a little bit reduced now. Now there's a lot of reddish tones, so I'm going to bump the saturation down. That's the kind of the amount of color, the vibrance in it, just a little bit, just to take some of the edge off the sort of the pink tones without losing too much, brightness in the hair and such. And there are a few different ways I can adjust the hue. I think usually I try to get a photo, as realistic looking as possible before I go in and do artistic filters, unless I'm in a real hurry. But here, I think, even though this is still a little bit pinkish, I think I'm going to go ahead and jump into the filters and see what we can do kind of artistic effects-wise. Now, I've already picked out a few that I like in particular. In Pixlr here, they have a lot of really good kind of heavy-handed filters, some very crazy ones too. And you don't have to necessarily apply them at full strength, but it gives you a lot to look at too. So these are the three that I kind of like. Now, again, here's at 100%, and here's at, 40%. That's kind of more the realm we're looking for here. So there's the before, this little icon in the top corner I've been using here to change that. Interesting. Okay, I definitely like that. Similar. Now with this one, I might bring it back up a little bit more. So here we're at, whatever, 67%. Boom. Okay, so that's a little more muted, a little bluish, kind of interesting. And then here, and again, that's crazy contrast. We're going to take that way down and see how that looks. Boom. Okay, so that's really nice too. So you can see that evens out the skin tone, brightens the photo overall. Get more of a yellow tone instead of the kind of the pinkish tone. So I think it's kind of between here, Anne and Satya. Anne's got the more vibrant hair. I think I might go with, but Satya looks a little bit more natural. I might take this down just even a little bit more, because you want it to look natural. I mean, you want it to look like it's been, it's you, just naturally beautiful. It's like when you wear makeup that's, just meant to look like your face, but a little bit enhanced. It's kind of the same idea. So we don't want this to look like it's obviously been, crazy edited. And I think we're approaching that. I think I like this one right here. So there's the before and the after. And yeah, I'm going to go with this. And there's one more thing that I meant to do with the overall, oops, not the effects, to the overall photo, which is sharpen it. So this photo isn't actually perfectly in focus. If you look around the eyes, you can see, the eyelashes and stuff. That's, my pupils are super tiny, that bright window. But I'm going to take this up a bit, or a lot actually. And, you want it to not make your face or any skin imperfections look more noticeable, but also to make it's very subtle. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but basically the eyes, the color in the eyes and the eyelashes themselves just got a little bit crisper. So that can help adjust for the fact that I didn't quite get this in focus. Okay, so I'm going to save this, and we're going to switch over to Aviary and do some background blurring. Okay, so I've jumped over to Aviary, And I move my video down here because what we're going to do is blur the background. See on the sides here, it's very, very busy and the subject doesn't quite stand out as much because there's so much going on in the background. So this is a tool that's found its way into most picture editors, advanced picture editors these days. First, we're going to look at focus. Sometimes this is usually called focus. I'm trying to think, it has a different name in a couple of episodes. It's kind of escaping me right now. So, but it lets you from either a single point radius or from a sort of linear perspective, blur what is not within these lines. I'm just using my fingers to sort of manipulate this around. Now, I'm going to manually do some blurring in the background, but this is going to help me get part way there. I might as well use the tool at my disposal. So what I'm trying to do, actually I want that under part of the arm. I'm not going to be able to get too much with this actually. I want myself in focus, but everything else not in focus. Okay, that's pretty good actually. That helped a little bit. So we're going to click OK on that. And then go over to the blur tool. Now this is where I can manually draw in with a brush. This is Aviator is one of the only apps that has, or at least it's one of the better ones, and it has this feature. So I'm going to start over here on the right side, and literally I am just painting as best I can see. It's better to kind of go in small groups really, rather than, you know, trying to do the whole thing perfectly in one fell swoop. And the key is obviously missing the details of the hair. Well, still, I'm gonna lose some. I'm gonna lose some hair on this because there's really no way around that. But let's see, I gotta get this carpet even. There we go. Yeah, you gotta be careful of those edges. It is a little bit tricky until you get the hang of it. And even then, because you're not on a computer with a mouse where you can actually see your cursor on the screen. I'm just kind of hoping my finger stabs where I need it to be. Okay, so that right side's looking pretty good. I'm gonna just actually use the zoom feature of this. There we go. Blur in there a little bit. Okay, back up to that. And over here, la 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 la, look at all the stickers on the door. Gonna make them all smeary. That's a good start. Okay. Now, I kind of don't want to get too much of the hair, but again, it's going to be kind of inevitable, but you can do your best to miss the edges. Okay. Make sure I got all the little bits. There we go. So that now kind of looks like, it might have been taken with a cell phone camera. You look closely, it's not going to fool an expert eye, but it really reduces some of the detail, some of the messiness in the background. There we go. You can kind of like hold it back and squint out a little bit and see what you think. So, we've got a nice clean up photo now, and my face pops more, and the background disappears a little bit. So let's compare this to the original and see what we think. So here was our before, and here's our after. Before. You can really see the sharpness in the face with both with the combination of, I think, the filter and the actual sharpening, but it pops, it's sexy, it's got some great colors to it, and it looks like a more put together pro shot than what we started with. So hope you learned a few things with editing, and I'll see you next time with a new set of skills and a new sexy photo.